Hi, Sagittarius. This is your Libra season reading video, October 2024. All information to work with me one-on-one is below, as well as the extended version of this reading. First link below on Patreon, and it will come out the same day, within 24 hours of this one. It will come right to your inbox. If you're curious about that, where we get even more in depth into the month, take a look there. We already had a card come out, so exchange, energy exchange, where you're giving too much, where you have, we'll talk about strength a little, and we're going to talk about vintage. That's what I'm calling your video. There's this, and the Two of Cups is on the bottom, which I'm going to bring up, but it's the commitments, the overcommitting. You're realizing how much it's taking a toll of the quality that you're able to give. And, you know, you may not have thought of this as much before, and it's not like, because it's not like you not to think that you're incapable. You'll go start something, you'll go do something. You know, there's a worthiness to this space. And what happens is then you can overcommit because it could be your ego, it could be for a look, who knows, Libra season will bring it up. But where you're giving your time, where you're giving your energy, what's worth it, what is becoming out of integrity for you, we're going to take a look, because something about you and about almost every Sag I know, whether you are, you know, balancing being healthy and unhealthy, or in a healthy space, whenever you're in a healthy space, you're really taking care of yourself. Most Sagittarius suns I know have the things that they need to take care of their body. Are you always doing it? No, but right now is going to ask you to do those things, because taking care of your body in a way that's like a step further than just all of the things. You may look good, but it's about feeling good. It's coming into a time of feeling good about yourself. We are in a huge, what I think is more emotional health is the link, which attaches itself to mental health. But to be able to recognize that, being able to feel lucky for what you have, not just grateful, but lucky to be in the space that you have. Jupiter is across from you. That is your planet, but it's across from you in Gemini right now. And I want to acknowledge that. I'm also going to move this slightly. Okay, like this angle. Thank you for that. So, one thing about vintage, it's decided by the person, right? But then there is qualified, like there's always, if it's within a certain realm, there may be something that qualifies something as vintage, the time period, the timepiece, how long someone's had it for. And now you're recognizing there are some things that you may want to let go of, release. You know, you might be realizing that not just are you giving too much energy in certain areas, it's because you're unwilling to, and perhaps the link is that on the other side, when, you know, one hand is giving, the other hand is weighing, you're starting to pay attention to the weighing out of how much you can handle right now, especially during this, in the middle of eclipse season. I wanted to not, and I like to get these started, and I'll wait in certain times, but I think in the middle of eclipse season is when we're not always searching for help in that time, but it's a time to look back on. So whenever you decide to read this or watch this, it's something to look back on, which I'm just making the connections of vintage there. And I also want to say that, like, how fortunate when you find and you run into something so, like a piece of clothing or a piece of furniture, something literally vintage that is still usable, wearable, that holds its structure. You know, it's like good skin, like aging well. And I think you're beginning to think about this more and realizing that there may be places that you've been wasting your luck even, and you're getting exposed to this in order to see, because maybe for some of you, you've been asking questions like, you're looking at what you have and you're like, I should be so lucky. I am so lucky. However, some of these things just don't fit. For other things, you're beginning to recognize the quality, the integrity, what you love about the things that you do offer, the things that you do give, the things that you are capable of. And there's something about it being, this is the part that I love, the uniqueness, the one-of-a-kindness, that it lasted this long in this time where you can still wear it. Like, do you have something or anything in your life you look around that you've had for 10 years plus that's traversed some times with you? You've brought this thing through your life instead of letting go of it, because there are pieces of you out there everywhere. I mean, if you've let go of them, of course, I'm not saying that in like a weird way, but there are pieces that you've been attached to, and that's why it's important to also, for those of you who don't cleanse things or wash things or in good feng shui, like especially if you buy things secondhand or anything like that, what's coming to me is to be able to notice that. And notice what you're bringing in, the energy you're bringing in as well, and how that's maybe exhausting how you give in a very energetical, nuanced way if you look at it like that. You want to wash it, you want to cleanse it, you want to repurpose it, you want to be able to utilize it. And once you want to start seeing things and be like, yes, that's me, not in a way that can't be someone else, right? And not in a way that isn't, because that's what trends are. But you're beginning to find more of a uniqueness within your approach, even too, for some of you. We have a lot of cards. Okay, so you're moving forward in a way where you are being very sure and stubborn about the direction that you're moving. You're coming into a time where you are getting a chance to do so. And you will need that energy in the beginning of the month. You'll need that Mars push. You'll need that fire by the Aries full moon. So as eclipse season settles down, even though the Aries full moon will be its own moment, what it's having you realize is, perhaps for some of you, what you've been unwilling to let go of has been very much attached to you. So this may not just be pieces of things. This is about how if you've already been a creator, if you've already been doing something and now you want to revamp things, or you want to look things different, or you want to rebrand yourself, or you want to change something, it feels more personal. And if you've been going through this for a while, especially for those Sagittarius risings, the way you're making money, you're starting to get really clear. You've already begun to, but you're finishing up this contemplation. You're finishing up every time you move forward in a way. It's you not approaching things in the way that that approach that you have where you got this. Like, you can be nervous, but you know when you have something, you know when you've learned something. Even before then, you can be premature, but you know that you've gotten there finally, and something is settling in with your ego. It's not so much of an ego death, but it's the sureness that you have about where you are and where you're headed, and how that is helping to that vulnerability that you may be experiencing through that. Because there's a lot of talks about the masks within especially Libra and Scorpio season, Halloween, October and November, but it's mainly Scorpio season. How this can be the month, and I know you'll like this, is when it's like those scary movies I don't watch them personally, but I know most people do, where people are smiling, but it's like a thriller and it's a psychological thing where it's like kind of creepy, or those distortions, and that's how Libra season can sometimes present. And the discernment that you have about you may not realize in a subtle way that you're moving on from a certain energy, and you need to be forward facing about it. You can't be the way that you've been the past year. It will be like that in a different way. You need to, there is work that needs to be done, but it's in a way that is addressing the plan, especially if it feels vulnerable, more vulnerable to plan something and not just go with the way that your life's being directed. There's a certain amount of control and awareness and consciousness that you're coming to with the part of you that can do something and do something very well, even master something, even go towards something, but it's maybe for appearance, to keep your certain things running, that so you don't have to utilize energy mentally because you need it in some other area. You're finally coming to terms with the change that needs to happen for some of you. For Sagittarius risings, Aries is in your 5th house too. So this is reigniting, and you may be finding where it is in your life, especially has to in terms with like that romance included with your partnership, or if you're single, it's where things couldn't have been stagnant in that area, and you're getting a little boost, and in like the romance department, that reminds you that you don't, because when you can get in those like places where you kind of just need some fuck around and find out energy to come into your life so you can feel vulnerable and feel safe to feel vulnerable again, feel safe to change again. It's like when you're going through a change, you can put all of these plans around that change, because that has looked and that has been fun and that has been helpful to keep the things going, keep the things up. But I think now in your life, for some of you, you're finding that there's a certain independence that you're wanting to have in this area. You're wanting to be able to, and it's not a bad thing to want people with you, but you're wanting to experience this shift differently, because for most people, they're going through like a deeper change. Again, the standards, the integrity, what have you given thought to? Where is your mind being directed? Where can you be more discerning in your life? That's what these very strong, forward-facing characters are asking you in this season. And again, for a lot of you, it's recognizing that what once fit doesn't fit anymore. You realize that abundance needs a lot more than passion and a desire to be together. This is Pluto having you also take a look at the 2nd house, your resources, your talents, and realize where you not addressing certain things has only made them needing to look at them worse. So when you look at them, they're not as bad. It's like those horror thriller movies that most of the time they're not that scary actually. And most likely some of those things would never happen unless they're like based on a true story. But Libra season gives you the power and the courage with this Pluto going direct in your second house for Sag risings. The wind, the air energy to amplify your fire after a time of much contemplation. This helps also break any unnecessary illusions that you've had about creating in your life, about balance in your life. It can be really easy to see what's out of balance at this time and what can feel so obvious right now. It becomes, also Venus is also in Scorpio, and that's in your 12th house. So whatever isn't working, whoever isn't working, you will get maybe unexpected news, unexpected words, unexpected answers that are brought right to you. Libra, Mercury in Libra as well. That'll also be in for Sag rising to your 11th house. So any of the things that you've been maybe curious about. So what I've come to see more and more is that for those of us who aren't always looking to these things, and this is just something you come to every here and there, it can be, depending on the vigilance and the hypervigilance that you've had over time, depending on what you've been programmed or reprogrammed yourself to become, a lot of times whatever we're needing to move through shows up right for us in the midst of our lives to address and then continue the proper cycle moving on and on. Once you become, and if you become more aware and more detailed, you see things coming. But that also can be a detriment. Venus in Scorpio is probably giving you that notion of feeling like you think something's coming, but I would make sure it's not something that has actually happened before and been in your past, and really take a look at and allow the Venus to smooth out and level out, right? Balance out the part of you that needs to know, because it's influencing the area in your life where you are in community. It's influencing how you move in that way. You may notice that there is even this correlation to a Libra, correlation to the Libra part of your chart. This is, regardless, it's this transit, this time is talking to abundance, comes with a death, a transformation, with friendship, with this person, with the way you interact, with the way you, and how that affects, and how Pluto hits this small thing that can feel so big and feel so transformative, because it's the thing that is threading the other parts of you, right? There's association between some of the houses. So addressing this situation is on the other side of abundance. And it's you needing to come to that level-headedness, because Venus will move into your sign in Scorpio season, and you will want to be able to explore, maybe to spend money, enjoy, plan something, do something fun, and usually you like to do something in some form of, like, you're an accomplished person, and what accomplishment means to you now. What did it used to mean? When was the last time you felt as lucky as you will? You may not feel it yet, but it's coming. Yeah. you sense the other side. You know that if you feel defensive, if you feel obsessive, if you feel like you need to do something and control a situation, that's how you know you gotta let go. You gotta walk away. At this point, Sagittarius, it's just going to hurt you in a time when you can really harness so much security within yourself. Don't be afraid of what you know and what you find out about yourself. Don't be afraid to reveal what you've been hiding. The sword is to be, for the lack of better, but sword and just the scales. The scales come out more in the beginning of the month. Then there is an attitude switch halfway through, which I would say that's the Libra eclipse, because we have them both out, but they're reversed. But it will hit. Let me rephrase that. It will be at the time where you are, and that's your 5th and 11th house. So changing position. So it's changing positions. So changing positions, being in your creativity, feeling into your 5th house, maybe what drives the 11th house change for some of you. That's not for all of you, but we'll get more into that into the second part. It's just that this is a time where it is a portal, it's a bridge to cross. It's because we have Pluto going direct as well as we exit Libra season. You know, and how have been prepared for the strength. This is it. I got it for you. We're going to bring it together with vintage. Vintage has the strength to carry out through the years. Something that can even be classy. Something that can be defined as classy. Something that could be defined as ageless. That woman, you're like, how old is she actually? Knowing some of the secrets that you know, it's important that you use them in a way that they're not going to backfire on you anymore. And it's the test of time. You normally need, as fun, loving as you are, there's a sentimental side of you that needs something to hold on to in order to get them through. What if this was for a better life? Freedom within yourself, freedom within something that you maybe felt contracted to for a while. It could be giving too much, overly in debt, giving too much energy. And you clear up a lot of this by learning how not being more discerning, not be more demanding of yourself for yourself, makes that vintage wear and tear. You wear something too much, is it unique? You want to last long, you want to be able to stand strong, and now it's the ability to be discerning with your life in a way that it may have caused pain. The abundance is going to cause pain because it's going to guide you away from and show you through this time where you need to be really strong, where you're making a decision that impacts so much of your life, and as you decide, you realize that this happiness, this abundance also comes with this change of heart. You become clear in how you want to handle relationships. And for some of you, it may feel agitated, but you need to be patient, and if you're not, this way it will go. You may burn out. You have to be maybe very decisive this month. Use your mind. Have the strength to make the decisions you need to make regardless of the pain. The pain is sometimes the discomfort because you're choosing something that you need. Libra eclipse, Libra season. What you can control is how you decide to handle what you see. That's right in front of you. How doing what you've done has gotten you where you are, and you've realized that there needs to be a change. And if you haven't noticed already, shit just comes out of nowhere. Wind just comes out of nowhere in Libra season. Shit like drama will just come out of nowhere. That could be with very heavy Mars energy. Need to move your body. I'm not going to stress that more enough, but don't hurt yourself. Don't just take it out on yourself either. Be very intentional. Like, even if you're like hyped up, do your best to come clear and be intentional before you go and do whatever it is that you're doing. Okay? Also, I wanted to tell you this. I'm so happy. Karma, described by Dame Dash in an interview. Diddy is a Sagittarius. I'm not saying anything. That's not any shots towards you at all. But there are some Sagittariuses that can be that way. Taboos are coming out. All of this stuff is being talked about, things we never thought we would. He described karma as, and I'm not going to get more into that situation, it's not for here. Karma is like shooting, I think he said a BB gun or some type of gun, where you don't realize that when you shoot it, things bounce off. You may have a target, but if you don't recognize your karma's bouncing off and you don't know what that's going to look like, you don't know how that comes back, how that's going to come back to you. We don't decide. That's only for God. That's in the higher power's hands. If you're in a literal situation, you will find out what you need to know. Until then, working on letting go of the emotion for your own betterment, managing that, how to direct your power, thinking about that, how to carry on with strength, how you can keep yourself in good strength. If you need to check out anything in the lower parts of the body, sex organs, male, female, whatever gender, getting checked in that area, the throat, working on expressing yourself, connecting that, for lack of better terms, the sacral area and the throat, and learning where you may be off in the center, knowing that this is a time where it really could connect you and you have the power and you have the energy behind you at this time. That's another thing. You have the power and the energy behind you right now, and you don't want to use it against yourself. There's a lot being exposed to you. For some of you, this is like you're being exposed to the world. Something that you've gone through, something that you're doing is being exposed to the world, exposed to your world, the world around you, and you have to battle through on your own. This is something only for you, and that's where this bigger decision comes towards Scorpio season. This is that Venus in the 12th house, bringing up the parts of, and even that's to yourself in intimate ways. This is also intimate. So intimate things revealing itself either to you and your partnership and the way that you communicate in your relationships. and also with the world, if you're more of a public person in your work or in your life, not saying that public people watch this, but like if you're more of someone who needs to show their face, is connected to a lot of people, there will be a change in perception. There is a change, and justice will be served, you know? Make you slow down and think about some things. And do what you need to do to move forward. A lot, I know we talked about a lot, pertain to some of you, not so much to others, but wherein is your life? Or do you feel exposed? Are you being exposed? Are you needing to walk away emotionally? Are you needing to wipe the slate clean? It doesn't have to be that serious on that level. This is just a time where you can cross. That it's not so hard because you have the strength for it if you use it wisely. I think you also have fun with it if you see it as like one of those adventure tales where there is clues along the way, where there are battles to be had, internal, maybe some external, some words, and some decisions on your part on how you want to move forward, literally, for most of you. Okay. And how that will proceed into January. Okay. I'll see you in the next part, Sagittarius. There's a lot to talk about. All links are below. We'll see you there.